Good afternoon. Welcome back to Two Knicks Chicks. It's only one Knicks Chicks today. I'm rolling solo dolo, but I'm going to do a quick show because I wanted to recap the OKC game that the Knicks played on Friday. This was the second matchup that they've had against OKC. We know how the first one ended up for them. Um, you know what? I'm not even going to be, I should say, my tone on this show is not going to be filled with anger. I think it's just more disappointment, but at the same time, shout out to Stephanie and shout out to Ajay. I watched a little bit of their show earlier today. Excuse me. And she basically was saying how it's gonna take time for this Knicks team to get to where we as Knicks fans want them to be, right? And I get that. I get that it's gonna take time. I think that a lot of us Knicks fans we're very we're tired of waiting. Let's keep it real. We're tired of waiting. We've been waiting long enough. Enough is enough. We just want the Knicks to be more consistent. We want to see more balance individually with players. We want to see more balance from the coaching staff. We want to see more balance, not even just necessarily winning every game, but just progression wise. And I think the Knicks have done a good job the last few seasons making progress, right? I'm not going to discount and take that away from them. But I just think that we've been waiting decades for this team to really show that they're contenders. And I don't know, again, and I'm not going to say it because the Knicks have lost four of their last five games, that they're not contenders, but I don't think that this roster, this makeup of who we have right now, makes us contenders for a championship. I could be wrong, but I just don't see it. And I say that because, last year the Knicks had this issue as well, where we struggled against certain teams that we couldn't beat. Boston was one of them. Dallas was another one. Orlando was another team that we struggled against. And when I look at the Knicks, first of all, I'm not sure what happened from the first matchup against OKC and then when we played them on Friday. I thought the first matchup, the Knicks played them really well. And then when I watched them play them on Friday, I'm not sure exactly. I don't know. The energy just looked really off. You had Mikel and OG, who Mikel didn't even score a basket the whole game. OG and Mikel didn't even score the first half. And it seems like with them, when one of them has a good game, the other one doesn't have a good game. So I'm not sure what's going on between the two and why they necessarily can't get it together and they both can't get on board. But it was pretty much just Brunson, Hart, and I believe it was Carl Anthony who pretty much was in double figures. And then you had Cameron Payne who had 11 points. But I don't know. I just felt like the vibes and the energy was off in that game on Friday. I feel like we've also seen the Knicks win 9 games in a row. They did this last year. The Knicks have done this before. And then, I think as a team, you can't go and lose 4 out of your last 5. It's not the end of the world, but I don't think that you can't do that. You have to figure out a way to rebound and fine tune and get back on track and, figure out a way to pull out wins and games and not just be, you win a couple and then, you win a almost a dozen games and then you lose a couple. That can't happen as well. So I don't know. I think this Knicks team, I'm not concerned. I think that there's several things that we can blame on why this is happening with this Knicks team and what's causing the I don't even know. I don't know if this is like woes that the Knicks are having. These are like they're still trying to figure it out, which I get that they're still trying to figure it out. just like the front office is still trying to put the right pieces together to get the right roster makeup for them to be contenders. So I don't know. I just think that this is something that we do have to take a deeper dive into it. Like I said, this is a quick show because the Knicks do play today at 3 against Milwaukee. But the Knicks lost on Friday, 126 to 101. Fourth loss out of their last 5 games. It's funny because when I was watching that game on Friday, OKC was just able to score very easily. Watching them score, they were able to get in the paint. They were able to attack the paint. And it almost looked like on some sequence, it looked like we had Toppin, Uriah Murphy. It looked like we had Kolek, like that group of guys in for the majority of the game. Because Shamit, I watched at one point, he went to go to the basket. Josh Hart went to the basket. They were either getting blocked, ball was getting snatched right out of their hands. And when it happened to Shamit, I was a little nervous because the way his arm got yanked, I said, oh boy, hope nobody's not trying to pull, giving a guy a shoulder injury, a dislocated shoulder. But it just looked very like an NBA team was playing a high school varsity team. That's what it looked like. Brunson a lot of times was guarding SGA. There was no match there because of the height difference. SGA, like I said, he doesn't move the fastest, but he just knows how to get to the basket. Jalen Williams, he was getting to the basket. And then on top of that, you had Isaiah Joe off the bench with 31 points. OKC was able to sit down their starters because they had that game in the bag. And it wasn't just SGA, and not to mention Chet was on the bench. Happy. Isaiah Hartenstein, I thought he did. And what's crazy is Isaiah Hartenstein was throwing the same passes he was doing when he was playing on the Knicks. I said, y'all know that those are the passes that he was doing when he played here. You weren't ready for that? I'm a little confused on that. But I thought Hartenstein did a really good job protecting the paint. I thought OKC just seemed, they were on attack mode. And the Knicks just didn't seem ready for it. Because once they started to pull away, Mike Breen and Clyde took the words out of my mouth. It was like the Knicks just can't buy a basket. And then when you don't have any contributions from OG or Mikal, that's a problem. That's a problem. It can't be both of you playing silent night and you're not scoring a basket for us. That just cannot happen. So I thought that hurt the Knicks as well. But I just thought collectively, this is not, again, I'm not going to make this show where I'm necessarily attacking one player. We know Mikal didn't score well. He was 0 for 9 from the field, 0 for 7 from the 3. And he just flat out struggled, right? It happens. I'm not sure. I don't know. Maybe it was frustration from the Knicks fans. They wanted to see a better performance, and I don't blame them. The Knicks got booed. We haven't heard the Knicks get booed in a while. And they were mainly booing Mikal, who scored 10 points. He was 4 of 18 in Wednesday's win against Toronto, who's been struggling mightily. He said to SNY, I get that. Missing shots, that's something that you really can't control. Just keep making them, keep getting them up. Defensively, a lot of miscues, a lack of communication, which is very boo-worthy. I'm not tripping. That's just got to be better. So he knows he was a no-show. He knows that he has to do better. But we've heard Mikal kind of make these same sentiments before in a game when he was struggling to give to contribute for the Knicks. We know what he could do. It just was an off night for him. Josh Hart also added, it's an NBA season. There's going to be peaks and valleys. There are going to be games where we shoot the lights out. There are going to be games where we can't buy a shot. We've got to make sure we are focused and give off the right energy. We can't have our own individual agendas. Can't do any of that. Got to make sure we're locked in on this team, sacrificing for this team. Now, one thing that I found really interesting was beyond the 2 wins over Orlando, when, mind you, Orlando was missing Paolo Banchero. The Knicks have not defeated a team currently stationed within its conference top 6 since November 25th, when they earned a road win over Denver. The Knicks dished out a season-low 16 assists to the loss in Orlando, and they only had 18 against OKC. So I think that, like, again, watching Friday's game, first of all, I don't want to see a repeat of that today. You got to play better than, you got to have a better effort this afternoon than you did on Friday. And the thing is that I think as fans, you know, you get some fans who will say, oh, well, they've been playing back-to-backs, and, you know, some guys have been playing a lot of minutes, and, you know, maybe there's tired legs. And I get that. But I also feel like not just in the NBA, but a lot of professional sports, you're going to have games back-to-back or every other day. You're going to have some back-to-backs. You're going to have damn near every other day games. And you may get lucky if you have a 2-3 day break. But it's part of like playing a professional sport. It's going to happen. I think that the Knicks just have to figure out how to be better despite the scheduling, despite not really having enough depth, you know, because even if the Knicks, okay, hypothetically, the Knicks had a few pieces that they can have come off the bench. The Knicks need somebody like Isaiah Joe who can come off the bench and be a spark and give you, you know, some help off the bench, because quite frankly, what we saw was just not enough. OG Anunoby played 36 minutes, had 4 points. Deuce had 7 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Landry Shamet, 3 points. Huck Porty, 2. Precious, 2. Toppin, 2. Tyler Kolek, 2. Matt Ryan, 2. 2 points is not going to get you enough in a game to win a game. Lack of defense is not going to be enough to win you a game. Having OG and Mikal Bridges, who didn't score a damn thing, is not going to be enough to get you to win a game. The Knicks got punched in the face, and they never were able to get back up. And it's going to happen. Sometimes, look, it happened to them the first game of the season when they played against Boston, right? But I think that this team has to figure out how to, I don't know. I think collectively as a team, they have to figure out a way to be better. Like, I think each of these guys individually, we know what they can do for this Knicks team, but I don't feel like this team yet on a consistent basis. Sure, they played well in the 9 games. And quite frankly, out of those 9 games, there was maybe 3, at least that I could think of off the top of my head, that the Knicks barely won. And December schedule was, you know, against weaker opponents. This month in February is a nice test for the Knicks to see how they can do and how they could prevail over better teams or teams who are a bit better. Not to mention, this is why I said that you can't rely on where the Knicks are in the standings in the East. The Knicks winning those 9 games helped them to be able to still remain in 3rd. They're 25-14. Boston's 27-11. But Milwaukee is creeping up. They're in 4th. They're 20-16, and you got Orlando in 5th at 22-18. Miami's right behind them at 20-17. Pacers is right behind them at 21 and 18. This is why I say you can't get comfortable at where the Knicks are right now in the standings, because I said this before. I've said this a few times so far this season. Those teams that are sitting in 5th, 6th, 7th, hell, even 8th, you're going to blink after All-Star break and be like, yo, what happened? They went on a winning streak and now they're sitting at 4th, maybe at 3rd, or a team that was at 7th is now in 5th. And the Knicks have to be careful that they don't end up in 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th seeded in the East. You don't want that happening to you. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if you don't figure it out and tighten up, you'll end up in 5th, 6th, 7th. It's more like F around and find out. So the Knicks don't want to do that. But I think that the Knicks have to figure out collectively as a team how to be better. And Josh Hart did mention this, that this team doesn't communicate well. They don't. Friday, the Knicks looked so lost defensively. I was like, what's going on? Guys were out of place. OKC was just throwing the ball up the floor. They were so confident they wasn't even taking it in when they were getting those fast break points. They was just chucking up threes and knocking them down. I don't know. The Knicks have to figure out how to be better collectively as a team. And I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't know. Let me take that back. I do know we're missing another center. We're missing another solid wing. We need more depth on the bench. Tom Thibodeau is here to stay. While there's pressure on him, there's pressure on Brunson. I don't see them letting go of Tom, unless the NBA starts doing what the WNBA does and says, you're out of here. We gave you a chance, but they have already extended Tibbs. So partially some of it goes on Tom Thibodeau as well. And I don't know, how do you change that? I don't know, how do you change the coaching? I don't know, once you get the pieces that you need, is Tibbs going to play those guys and add them into the rotation? Because do you give your bench guys the opportunity to come in and relieve the starters? And then do you have some of those bench guys, maybe 2 of them, come in and play with the starters? I don't know, how do you mix that up so that it makes sense and that they are able to get playing time and not, well, because you're getting blown out by 20, 25. Because I was shocked. Tibbs put Hukporty and the gang, he put them in Toppin. He put Toppin in. I was shocked. Real early. The Knicks, and the fact, again, I haven't heard this in a long time where the Knicks have gotten booed. The Knicks were getting booed really bad. It just wasn't a good game. It looked like we had your Toppins in, your Hukporty, your Kolix, Precious. It just looked like you had that group in the entire game. That's what it looked like from the jump ball. That's what it looked like. The Knicks looked weak. They were very vulnerable. The energy was low. I don't know. I just didn't like the body language from the start of the game. They just didn't look locked in. I just need the Knicks to be better, because you can be a team like Orlando who you could see the growth. And even without Banchero, how they play really well together. And my issue with the Knicks is that if you don't have Jalen Brunson on the floor, how good is this Knicks team? You don't really have a true solid backup. I mean, you don't have a true solid backup point to the level. It don't have to be exactly to the level that Jalen Brunson's at, but you don't have somebody who can orchestrate the offense. And this is something that I've been saying that Jalen Brunson has to work on. He needs better balance. Like, we know you could score, but I think that he has to pick and choose his battles night in and night out, right? Like, sometimes, yeah, we're going to need you to go off. And then when you decide to go off, that doesn't mean that we need you to chuck up a bunch of threes. Like sometimes we need him to get into the paint, utilize his footwork to his advantage and give us points. But also we need balance in that. I would like to see Jalen Brunson being able to like really orchestrate the offense when he has the ball. Not just before he even gets to facilitating the ball, but orchestrating the offense when he's bringing that ball down. Letting guys know, like, yo, come up, screen, go here, come up, shoot the ball. I want to see him doing that more. And that's one of my biggest pet peeves with the NBA. And I think especially with the Knicks, and I can't say with every team in the NBA, because I'm sure there's some that they do communicate, but with the Knicks, they don't communicate. It's like they have tape over their mouth. I'm in the NBA. I made it. I don't like, I don't need to talk. Just give me the ball and, I'll pass it back or I'll make my way to the basket. So I think that this team has to figure out balance, how to communicate, how to come together and play together, because it just, I don't know, it's kind of like up and down. There's no consistency there for me. And this is not, again, I'm not putting this on one person. Yeah, Mikal didn't score. OG didn't give you much. Like I said earlier at the top of the show, I would like to see them both be able to give you, a good productive night collectively together and not individually. And then I need both of them to be a bit more consistent because OG's been a little bit of a slump as well. Mikal has had his woes as well. But we know what both of them could do individually as well. But again, you can't have it where it's the same guys that's being consistent, because I also don't want the Knicks to fall into that trap of how we were when we had Randall on a team and it was like the bulk of the weight was on Randall and Brunson to carry the team. And then you had the contributions from both Mitch and Hartenstein, who was able to like help out on a defensive end. But I think we need a little bit more, and you're going to need some more from the bench as well. And then when you do get that help and those guys in that can give you a spark off the bench, it can contribute and can play with the starters as well as play with the bench. You need Tibbs to be able to put them in the game as well. Listen, I know that it takes time for championship teams to the roster to be made up and then for them to contend towards a championship. I get it. I know that it takes time. I have no choice but to be patient at this rate. I had to wait 28 years, and I've said this before, I had to wait 28 years for the New York Liberty to win a championship. And when they won, it was a beautiful thing. And trust me, they went through their woes. Made the finals, 5 times? And you lost? And I think that the Knicks have to utilize these losses against teams like OKC, like Boston, like Dallas. You have to use those losses and take them as a lesson learned and figure out how do you get better and prevail against teams like that, right? Because if not, if you're just going to say, okay, well, we'll play them next time. We play most teams at least 3-4 times in a season, and you think that that's, cool. You're not going to figure it out. So I think it takes the team collectively to figure it out how to be better. Like, we know what guys could do individually. And then it's also going to take the coaching staff. Like, I think Tibbs has to be able to, and it's tough because he's stuck in his ways. I think with Tibbs, it's like literally beating your head against a wall. It's insanity. You're doing the same thing each time and expecting a different result, and you're just not going to get it. And it's unfortunate, you know what I mean? I think that the Knicks do need a more modern coach who can it starts with the coaching, right? I've also been saying that I wonder who's the leader on this roster, this current Knicks roster, as far as the players go. But I say it also starts with the coach. because you're the head of the team. So you have to command, like, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want executed, making the right adjustments, calling the timeouts at the right time, calling the right plays, um, utilizing guys that you have. If you have really good shooters, setting them up so that they're not just going out there on the floor and they're, having a hustle on defense, but then there's really no plays set up for them so that they can get the ball on offense and they got to work really hard to score. I also feel like we need a coach who's going to be big on defense as well, because honestly, under Tibbs, it's looking more like offense. A coach who's going to change that lack of perimeter defense. The Knicks perimeter defense has been awful for years. For years. And we have not addressed that issue. It has not been addressed. We need a coach who, I don't want you watching teams shooting threes. I want you can't expect to win games if you're going to say, well, I'll allow them to shoot the three, but we'll all crowd the paint. So you got all Knicks players, except for maybe one, in the paint, and then sometimes don't even get the rebound because you got the opposing team on the perimeter and they're able to get the rebound and get that second, sometimes third chance opportunity. So we need a coach who's going to really put their foot down, up the tempo. They don't got to play super fast. Come out with better energy in first quarters. Come out with strong energy in third quarters. And figure out how to have better defense, better team offense. Again, we know what players could do individually, but better team offense, collective team defense, and just more solid effort. And this is not to knock the Knicks. We've seen the Knicks battle it out, come back from down 15, 20, and be able to stay within games. I'm not taking that away from the Knicks, but I'm looking for more consistency on this team. And I haven't seen that as of yet. And again, let me know, because I know y'all let me know in the chat, like, oh, she's being a negative Nancy, she's being negative, and this is why I like when we have Diva Locks on here, because she's like, no, but technically, she'll let me know, and I'm just like, cool, give me the facts. But I also go by eye test, not just stat test. I read too. I don't just go by what I see on the TV. I watch interviews, I read articles, I go over stats, but I'm also about the eye test. So when I'm watching a game, like we'll be watching in a couple of minutes against Milwaukee, if it's not showing visually, I'm not convinced. And again, I don't hold them. I'm not going to, say, well, over one game and cry and boohoo and complain, but I'm more of a visual person. So if you visually are not showing me something, then I'm a little like, what's going on here? And what I saw on Friday, I don't want to see today. Actually, I don't want to see it moving forward for the rest of the season, but I definitely don't want to see it today. You have to figure out how to be better collectively as a team. You have to. Let me know in the chat. I really want to hear you guys. Like, Josh Hart is basically saying we have to lower the agenda expectations for this team. And I think that we do. This is why I had to take a day. I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to come on here pissed and high strung. And normally I'm like that and I'm angry. And y'all know on Sundays I start preaching and it turns into Knicks Church, Knicks First Baptist Church. And I just, I get all like riled up. I'm not even going to do that. And not because I'm giving up on this team. I ride or die through the good and the bad. But more so because I'm like, we got to let it play out. There's still some work to do roster-wise. There's still some work to do from the coaching angle, from the team angle. There's still some work to do. The Knicks are not ready. They're not ready. They still have some work to do. Shout out to the chat. Wonder Woman, salute to you. Hit him up, NYNJ. Salute to you as well. He said, all I hear is Mitch going to save us. I hope so. We just got to wait and see. I don't think that we need to we got to stop putting this narrative out there that Mitch is going to be the hope and savior. Not knocking Mitch. Love what he does for this team, but it's going to take him some time to get acclimated back into the roster lineup. He's going to have to get back in shape. He's probably going to be on limited minutes. We need him to stay healthy for the playoffs. Wonder Woman said, do you think there's a locker room issue or simply players are not performing? I don't know. I don't feel like there's a locker room issue. I just think that players are sometimes just not performing. And again, some nights it's just not going to be your night when you play a game as an athlete. Sometimes you're going to be off. But I just think that it's a combination of players not performing, and I think collectively as a team, they're not locked in fully yet. I think it's a combination of the both. That 9-game winning streak wasn't fooling me for a minute. Need to start beating the top tier teams above. Agreed. And I felt the same way with the 9-game winning streak. It was cool, but I wasn't fooled by that because, like I said, the Knicks did this already. They did it last year. They won 9 games. Got to show me something else that you could prevail after those 9 games. And maybe you lose 1, maybe 2, but then you could win your next 3. You can't lose 4 out of your next 5 games. Salute Dunross Gallman. He says, salute. I'm more concerned about OG offense than Mikel's. Yeah, I feel like OG's been somewhat of a little bit of, he's been in like a mini slump. Like, he'll have 2 games where you only get maybe 7 points out of him. Then maybe the next game you get lucky, you get 18, 21 points. Then he go another 2-3 games where you're not really getting maybe 8 to 10 points out of him. I don't know if it's because OG, again, some nights I know it's that he's off, but I don't know if it's that he's just exuding so much energy, having a guard. Him and Mikel have the hardest position trying to guard the top offensive guy on the opposing team. I don't know. Again, and this is why I say I don't know if it's tired legs with the Knicks. I don't know what it is. Salute Nostalgic Nick. Salute Juan B. Said like and subscribe, share the video. Absolutely. Dunroll said if the Knicks don't make a move, another plan, they may have to bench Josh Hart when Mitch gets back because teams are playing 2 tall players. Yeah, but I think you need Josh Hart out there. And you can't, I think with Mitch, it's going to be how they did it with Isaiah Hartenstein, like how Hart would play and then Mitch will come in and sub for him. It's going to have to be like that. Mitch comes in and relieves Carl Anthony, and then Carl Anthony will come back in. It has to be a little bit of that. Unless you're saying that you want to see like Carl Anthony not playing the 5 and you want to see him maybe playing the 4. I don't know. Let me know because that's interesting. Oops. Despite the losses, Knicks have the 5 best record in the league. Yeah, they do. But part of that is also because the Knicks 9-game win streak helped them to solidify that so far. But again, if you look at the standings in the East, a lot of those teams that was in 7th, 6th, 5th, they're starting to creep up. They're starting to get some wins under their belt. So we can't get comfortable at 3rd. We can't. The Ross salute says salute, salute, salute. Booing at the Garden gets Dolan attention. Tibbs not safe. Yeah. Listen, I think the NBA needs to do what the WNBA does. You're not happy with the coach, you got to go. We're not going to keep you around on these extended contracts. You got to go. You got to go. Kareem Grant, salute, salute, salute. Joe Curry, salute, said, that's right. The Liberty showed us how to win. Problem there in Brooklyn. Yeah, I agree. I wish they was in New York, but I agree. It took them 28 years. This is why I say with the Knicks, we have no choice but to wait. And the crazy thing is with the Liberty, they made it to the finals 5 times and lost all 5 times, which hurts even more. So but they figured it out. Just like Leon and the gang did, the same, their front office did the same thing. We're gonna keep putting the pieces in place to get us a championship here. And it worked. I expect a win today. This should be a blowout for the Knicks. Need to start sending strong message. Yeah. Yeah, and we beat Milwaukee already. But listen, the Knicks have lost to Chicago twice. This is what I'm saying. There's no balance on this team. How do you lose to Chicago twice? How? I'm genuinely asking. I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm like, what's going on? I've been saying this, Kareem. I swear I've been saying this. And every time I say it, Diva Locks laughs. I'm not even joking around. I'm being dead serious. We need Woodson back. Woodson used to curse players out on the sidelines. I loved it. Snap out of it. Get your head out your butt. Get the F out there and play. Like, I don't know what you need somebody in there who's gonna like really clamper down on this team and say, that's not what I need out there on the floor. I need you to do this. This is what I'm looking for. This is what I need executed. I swear they need Mike Woodson. I've been saying this. Salute Kevin Bergen. Shout out to the chat. He said, hit him up NY, and Jay said, if Randall, RJ, IQ, Obi, Grimes had to go, why can't Tibbs? Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. I think that the front office, there's pressure on Tibbs and there's pressure on Jalen Brunson. There's pressure on them both, for sure. And Tibbs, especially because you just got an extension. So, listen, I don't care about an extension. If you're not performing, I think if the Knicks, depending on how they do this season, I'm not saying that they'll be looking to get rid of Tibbs, but he's definitely going to be, there'll be more pressure. Because maybe they may give him another opportunity. They may feel like, well, don't get me wrong, Tibbs has more than enough to work with on the roster. But maybe they may feel like, okay, well, we need to still bring in a couple of, this type of player. They need this kind of wing. We need a center. We need this. Because the Knicks are definitely going to make some moves in the offseason. Kareem said, lady, you're keeping it a buck. Fire Tibbs is not a popular topic, but when you keep having the same issues every season, you can't deny the facts. Absolutely. And this is what I mean. At some point, the front office, I think they're going to have to not just keep looking at how do we keep upgrading and making the roster better, but we got to look at the head coach as well. And Tibbs is not a modern coach who's up for change. He's stuck in a lot of his old ways. Kevin Bergen said, if you're thinking Mitch is the savior, then you're setting yourself up for failure. Absolutely. This is what I keep saying. A lot of Knicks fans are very heavy on Mitchell Robinson coming back being this all-time savior, but we've seen this kind of play out before with Mitch. Mitch was a dog doing his thing, but the other four players wasn't really that great defensively. So please, let me know. How are y'all thinking that it's going to change under Mitch? Mitch would be grabbing rebounds, tipping the ball out, giving the Knicks a second, third, fourth chance opportunity to score again. He setting the team up, getting blocks, setting screens, but the other four players wasn't really at that same level defensively. So how do y'all think Mitch is going to be some kind of miracle prayer? I don't know. Salute Ajay. I was watching you guys earlier. I got to finish that episode. That was a really good episode earlier. All right, Daraz. Mitch, our plug and play savior. We'll see. I'm really curious. A lot of teams can't stop Mitch, but what about the other four players on the floor with Mitch is really the question I'm asking. We know what Mitch could do, but is that going to be enough to get you over the hump? Kevin Bergen said, I was saying the same thing in a 9-game winning streak. We still have issues to solve to get to the upper tier. Absolutely. The Knicks have a lot to figure out for sure. Jay said, I like the riled up lady, not this contained version. I like it when you give it to the... Yeah, but I didn't even want to... Ajay, I said I'm not even going to come on here with that energy. because it turns into like First Baptist Knicks Church. I start going on a whole preaching rant. I need a rag. I really, really take it there because I get so passionate about being disappointed, not angry, but more so disappointed in what I've seen in the previous games. Lonnie Meeks salutes that OG is the new Josh Hart, hesitates to take the shot. OKC defense did not let the Knicks into the paint. Great point. And that's where I need the Knicks to be. Can't allow teams to just come in the paint all willy-nilly. And you can't say, well, just because you missing Mitchell Robinson, it takes the other four guys aside from Mitchell Robinson to get stops. And yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with OG. He literally seems like he got the tag your red Josh Hart symptoms, hesitating to take shots. And I don't know. OG, he got to snap out of whatever's going on with him. They're not going to fire Tibbs, not yet. I mean, people can forget it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're definitely not going to let him go. But I do see that there's pressure on Tibbs. There's definitely pressure on Tibbs, and yeah, he's going to be in a hot seat. I think not necessarily at the end of this season, but depending on how the Knicks do next year, Tibbs is going to have major eyes on him for sure. So, we'll see. Knicks play in a couple of minutes against OKC, who's currently in fourth. They're 20-16. The Knicks are 25-14, which isn't bad. Milwaukee just beat Orlando on Friday. So they're going to look to, get their wins, a second win on the road for themselves. The Knicks play, oh gosh, the Knicks are just back to back. See what I'm talking about? So they play today at 3 against Milwaukee. They play tomorrow against Detroit, Wednesday against Philly, Friday against Minnesota. I'm going to have the Knicks for my predictions. I'm going to go 3-1. 3-1. And actually, I would do 4-0. I'm sure that would be Diva Lock's pick, but I'm going to go 3-1. Because when we play Detroit, that's another team for some reason the Knicks can't figure out how to pull away in that game. Cade Cunningham, the Knicks have no answer for him. He does whatever he wants. And it's always a tight, close game. And also, Detroit has gotten better this year. They're not winning 2 games and calling it a season. They're figuring out how to be better as a team. Yeah, I know. I corrected myself, AJ. I said OKC, and I said, no, Milwaukee. They're playing Milwaukee today, Detroit tomorrow. Yeah, I got the Knicks 3-1. I'm not sure where that one loss comes from. I don't know if it's against the Timberwolves on Friday or who knows. Between Philly and Detroit, the Knicks could let one of those trap games set them up. So we'll see. We'll see. I know we all have the Knicks. We need to get back on the winning column. We need to get back on the winning streak with this Knicks team. I want to see the Knicks get a stop, be able to contain Giannis. You got to figure out how to be able to contain Giannis. Lillard, of course, Bobby Portis Jr., he likes to go out there and randomly just be wherever he goes. Brooke Lopez, he's been quiet against us. And then Gary Trent Jr., got to watch out for him. You listen. Yeah, because they still don't have Chris Middleton, who I think they're looking to trade him because he's just been no use on the bench. A Negro One salute said matchups are the issue with NBA athletic defenders. Kill us. Yeah. Yeah, a lot of times with Jalen, because he's not that tall, I notice that's an issue. He ends up on players like because of the way the scheme is defensively, and I'm like, it's a wrap. That player is going to score right over Jalen. He's not the quickest. He'll play defense. I'm not going to give him that and say that he doesn't. But yeah, he has to be better defensively. Dunross said the problem is that Tibbs don't got a rim protector. Knicks don't have it right now. No, we don't. I agree. We definitely need rim protection. We need better protection in the paint. We don't have that. I feel like a lot of teams can easily point guard could just bounce pass, alley oop, boom. Centers, big guys are just scoring on us in the paint. Carl Anthony, that's not really his forte. Kevin said, I need us to be over 500 this week. Absolutely. The Knicks have to get back in the winning column for sure. We'll see. I'll be on tomorrow. I'm sure to be an early show on a Queens Court tomorrow. We'll be on most likely at 6. Doing a post game of Milwaukee and then a pregame to Detroit, who the Knicks are playing tomorrow as well. And then I'll be on again throughout the week. Thursday, I'll try to do another show in between that. Being at the Knicks are playing like pretty much it seems like the same type of schedule. But yeah, we got to get back in the winning column. I need the Knicks to really pull out a win and figure out how to get back consistent wins. I have them 3-1. Let me know your predictions. And shout out to the chat for everybody for joining me. The chat was really live today. Wonder Woman, salute to you. Hit him up, NYNJ, Dunross Skalman, Nostalgic Nick, Juan B, Deraz, Kareem Grant, Kevin Bergen, Ajay, who else? Lonnie Meeks, AP. You late, but it's okay, AP. We know you always showing love. I feel like I skipped somebody too, and if I did, I apologize. But yeah, shout out to everybody for joining today, rocking with me. Appreciate you. Hit that like button before you guys leave out. And then come over tomorrow, watch us on the Queen's Court, talk our talk. It's always a great show with Tony Crow from Knicks and Bruises, Jeff Clafter from Happily Ever Clafter, the Queen herself from Dope Soul Sports and Knicks Talk, as well as the Queen's Court. So check her out as well on her platforms. A lot of you have come over from her show and show love to me. So I always love talking with them as well and being on a panel member. And shout out to Divalux too. So yeah, I'll see you guys tomorrow on the Queen's Court, 6 p.m. most likely. Enjoy the game today. Crossing my fingers for a win. And we'll have lots to talk about with these games coming up throughout the week. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe. And let's go Knicks, as Divalux always say. Peace, everybody.